Wife wants to homeschool kids, and I think she's the perfect example of why we shouldn't. I just have to get this out there because it drives me insane not being able to say this stuff out loud. To clarify, we do not currently have kids nor are we trying. This is just a topic that comes up semi-often. My wife and her siblings were homeschooled by their extremely right-wing and religious parents because they think public schools brainwash kids or whatever. Because of this, my wife has been essentially poisoned against public schools, convinced that they are terrible places and that it would be awful to send our kids there. She very much wants to homeschool our future kids, and I'm pretty adamant that I can see almost no reason to ever do so. She talks about how she liked being homeschooled, about how she got personal attention and how they got to occasionally do fun stuff like go on field trips, but from my perspective, her and her siblings are to me the archetypical example of why homeschooling is a terrible idea. Her and her siblings are the most socially awkward and socially unaware people that I know. They are unable to pick up on basic social cues, they all talk constantly and overshare everything that they think, they are unable to tell when someone is uncomfortable, bored, irritated, etc. Unable to tell when a joke is no longer funny, etc. etc. She tells me that she got plenty of socializing as a kid, but it's hard for me to believe. I can't help but think that if she actually spent time with other kids and not just her family 80% of the time, she'd be more well-adjusted. I also think that, quite literally, my wife might be the most poorly educated person I know. Almost everything she knows about science and history is in some way tied to religion and/or nationalism. She knows very, very little about history in general, and when we watch historical shows/movies she always talks about how she had no idea about XYZ event, or that she thought slavery wasn't as bad as it actually was. She also lacks basic understanding about science in general, even basic information like how the scientific method works, how disease gets spread. I could go on. Not everyone needs to know about science, but I would expect a college-educated woman to at least have basic understanding of a few things. She is also very poorly read, because as I understand it there was not very much actual reading in the curriculum she was a part of, and what there was seems to have always been tied to religion. Again, not everyone needs to have read XYZ books, but I would expect a general reading aptitude from an educated person. Her math skills are also uniquely and concerningly terrible. I am talking about being unable to add two single-digit numbers together without significant effort. We regularly play board games, and whenever she has to add up points, it is always a trial. Things come to a halt so that she can use her full brain power to add 9 plus 6, which she will get wrong half the time. This is something that I would expect anyone who has been through elementary school to be able to do. I frequently find myself worried about her inability to do basic math. All of this added together, paired with the fact that it is my wife who would be doing the schooling since I am the one who works, makes me extremely concerned that I would be dooming my children to an extremely poor childhood just because my wife has some fond memories of hers. Education is extremely important to me, and as someone who was public schooled I understand that our school system in America is not perfect and is in many ways extremely flawed. However, I also feel that it's important for kids to meet and socialize with other kids that aren't just the small group of children that are a part of the echo chamber their parents approve of, and I think that as flawed as our education system is sometimes, at the very least I feel like it actually educates. I do not think that my wife and her siblings benefited from homeschooling, and I genuinely think that if she was to take primary responsibility for homeschooling our future kids, that our children would grow up uneducated and under-socialized just like her.